Hi, Adarsh, can you hear me? We'll be starting in few minutes. We are just waiting for others to join. Hi friends, uh, this is Rajesh. I'm your new Linux admin faculty from Durgasoft. and starting the class. Hi others. Others. Hi Sammy. Hi others. Can you hear me? Hi Sammy. Okay. Please unmute and talk to me. You have please unmute and then talk to me. Okay. We'll start the class. Today, being our first demo session, today our focus of topics will be on the history of Unix and also history of Linux. Okay. Now coming to Unix history. Oh, some girl is joining. Please do. Hi Harshita, can you hear me? Okay. Hi others. Hi Sami. Hi Harshita. Okay. Today our focus of topics will be on history of Unix and Linux. Okay. The history of Unix is like this. Okay. Unix was actually started as a project by AT&T, Bell Labs, GE, and MIT in the year 1965. It was initially called Multics operating system. Okay, here Multics stands for Multiplex Information Computing System, designed in 1965 by different organizations like collaboration of different organizations like AT&T, GE, MIT. AT&T stands for American Telephone and Telegraph. GE is General Electrical. MIT, Massachusetts Institute of Technology. They have actually created this OS Multics purely on 100% assembly language. Later, this Multics was dumped for another project called Unix, which stands for Uniplex Information Computing System. Okay. Okay. First, before talking to before talking about any of these Multics, Unix, or Unix, let us first understand what is the requirement of the operating system. Why do we need an operating system? Okay. Okay. Suppose today you have purchased a new desktop for your use in your home. Okay. Suppose you have purchased a desktop. Okay. What exactly is a desktop? It is a desktop computer which you want to use it for internet purposes. But basically, desktop is a hardware. Just basically, desktop means basically desktop is a collection of Desktop is a collection, you can say it is a monitor, CPU, keyboard, mouse, and other peripherals like printer and etc. But the desktop is actually a electronic hardware which only understands zeros and ones. But we don't understand zeros and ones as a user or a end user like you or me. We don't understand what exactly is a hardware or even what exactly is a binary. But hardware understands only one thing, that is zeros and ones, that is called binary. So in order for a user like me, user, in order for the user to work with this hardware, we need some interface. We need an interface. We need an interface, which is exactly we need an interface which can actually communicate with the hardware, do our work. Okay, that interface is called that interface is called that interface which we actually use to communicate with the hardware is the operating system. Okay, now you got to understand hardware doesn't work by itself. It needs an interface to be communicated from the user, and the user understands only user understandable language, which is a high level language. So in order for the user understandable language to be converted to binary language or hardware level language, we need some interface which can communicate between user and the hardware. This interface is called operating system. Okay, operating system is an interface which actually acts as an interface between the user and the hardware in order to communicate the high level language converted into low level language and make the hardware work for you. Suppose you have taken a desktop, you wanted to actually have a printout of your resume. How do you do it? The printer is actually is an interface, input output interface, which is connected to your desktop or a laptop. Whenever a user gives a print command, the command actually goes to the operating system. Operating system on behalf of the user arranges to actually do this work and recommends or tells the printer to make a printout of it, and you get it. So now your operating system is actually a system software, which actually acts as an interface between the user and the computer. Okay. Now you got to understand what exactly is a now you got to understand what exactly is a operating system. Operating system is an interface between user and the hardware. Okay, it converts the user understandable language to binary language and vice versa. The binary language is taken by OS and the output is shown in the format of. Okay, tell me. Okay, so now you got to understand what is the meaning of an operating system. Is an interface. Later, now we will go into the next part. What is the history of that? And one of the most prominent operating system examples are Unix, Windows, Mac OS. Okay, what are the different examples of that? Are examples of a different operating systems. Okay, I'm here typing it here. Okay, now coming to history of Unix operating system. Unix has started actually like in the form of multi-operating system project, which is stands for Multiplex Information Computing System way back in 1965. This multi-operating system was actually developed in collaboration by three companies like AT&T, GE, and MIT. Okay, this was written 100% in assembly language. Okay, Later, this project was dumped for another project called Unix, as I highlighted on my computer. Unix operating system. Unix operating system is actually the Uniplex Information Computing System, which was developed in 1969, and it was actually developed by AT&T Bell Labs using 100% C programming language and 20% assembly language, and it was developed by Ken Thompson and Dennis Ritchie. Ken Thompson was the original Unix inventor, and Dennis Ritchie was actually the inventor of C programming language. Okay. Later, because this was actually written in 80% C language and 20% assembly language, this was actually a little complex because assembly language being involved and not so efficient. So it was actually dumped again, and in 1973, a Unix operating system was created, which is known as UNIX operating system, written 100% in C language. Okay, just to see the history of these things. Okay, now we'll see the history of Unix operating system. As the Unix operating system started as Multics. Okay, Multics means stands for Multiplex Information Computing System, developed by developed it by GE, MIT, and AT&T Bell Labs. AT&T stands for American Telegraph and Telephone. GE stands for General Electrical, and MIT stands for Massachusetts Institute of Technology. Later, this was actually rewritten as with 80% C language and 20% assembly language in 1965, 1969 as Unix operating system, which stands for Uniplex Information Computing System. Later, this was also dumped, and later Unix was developed with written 100% in C language in 1973. Okay, now you got to understand how Unix operating system came into existence. Okay, later this Unix was written. This Unix kernel was actually taken over by many different organizations. This Unix version was the base or the core version. Means it is the very basic. It was very advanced to its time. Now currently it is very basic. This is the core version, which was developed in 1973. Okay. Later in 1974, this OS was licensed to universities for educational purposes. Okay. Over the years, these hundreds of people and scientists who have been working on Unix developed it such a way that they added many user level applications and made it very advanced, and dozens of these different Unix flavors appeared, each with unique qualities, but though they are different, but they have inner similarities to the original AT&T's version. All the flavors were based upon either the AT&T System 5 or Berkeley software distribution, or a hybrid of both. Okay. Now, with lot of different extensions added and improvements onto the base version, and several Unix flavors were developed by different organizations and companies. Okay, this original Unix kernel was later adopted by different multinational companies and organizations to develop their own Unix-like operating system. Okay, during the late 1980s, there were several commercial applications of Unix-like operating systems. Okay, some of the Unix vendors and some of their operating systems are detailedly given here. As you can see here, AT&T Bell Labs developed its own Unix operating system by the name of System 5 Release 3. Okay, this was the first one of the operating system, original operating system vendor by the name of AT&T System 5 Release 3, developed by AT&T Bell Labs. AT&T is American Telephone and Telegraph Company name. Okay, so this is one of the vendor. Later, the same Unix which was developed in 1973 was taken over and also developed into different operating system called Sun Solaris, developed by Sun Microsystems. Sun Microsystems is the name of the vendor or the company which developed this Unix operating system and named as Sun Solaris. Sun stands for Stanford University Network. Harshita and Sammy, do you have any doubts? You can just ask me. You can interrupt me. Don't worry. Okay. Sun Microsystem developed its own, taken the original Unix kernel and developed its own operating system, which is called Sun Solaris. IBM is another vendor, which is a company which has also taken up that original Unix operating system, modified it accordingly, and released it as AIX. IBM stands for International Business Machines. SG is one of the company. SG stands for Silicon Graphics. Has also developed its own operating system based on the original Unix, which is called IRIX. SCO Unix, BSD, and HP have also done the same thing and developed their own operating system. Okay, now coming to for the first point. Okay, though these all Unix flavor operating system were developed, but these all flavors which I have mentioned here, the vendor name and OS name, are not exactly free versions. These above distributions, though based on the original Unix OS, are licensed versions. Means you need to actually pay to use them and are not freely available and are modified according to their own business requirement. Means if AT&T Bell Labs has some requirement which is depending on their project or their company, they have modified that Unix original kernel in such a way and released in their name like System 5 Release 3 in such a way that it only works for a specific hardware. Okay. See, for example, you can see this Sun Microsystems has taken the original Unix kernel and developed Sun Solaris operating system. But Sun Solaris, in order to actually use the Sun Solaris, you need to actually pay for the Sun Microsystems company. And apart from that, Sun Microsystems has developed this operating system in such a way that it only works on its own specific hardware, like Sun Spark machines. Okay, if you want to use Sun Solaris, you need to actually purchase Sun Spark machines. Similarly, if you want to actually use HP USOS, which is actually developed by HP company, the Hewlett Packard. If you want to use it, you need to actually pay for the HP US operating system. Apart from that, purchase specific HP hardware in order to run the OS. Okay. So this way, though the Unix operating system first was released, have been actually taken over by different organizations, developed accordingly and modified accordingly and released as their own name. But all these above Unix flavors are all licensed OS. Means you need to actually pay for it. Okay. Now coming to history of Linux operating system. Okay. Linux started as a kernel developed by Linus Torvalds in the year 1991 in Helsinki University. Linus Torvalds was actually a student of the Helsinki University. This person, Linus Torvalds, has taken up a obscure Unix flavor OS kernel, modified it accordingly, and developed his own Linux kernel and submitted it to Open Software Foundation. Then this Linus Torvalds published his Unix kernel to different open source organizations, and this OS was actually worked upon by many open source enthusiasts. Means it was actually taken by Linus Torvalds has given this to other people or other developers free of course and with the source code. They started to actually modify this accordingly, created many user level applications, and together after few years, after many applications developed and integrated into this Linux kernel, a new OS was born, which is called Linux operating system. Linux, main thing about Linux is from the starting a open source freeware operating system currently managed by GNU organization. Okay, GNU is an organization support which actually has a funda that every operating system or every application developed by them should be free of cost. Open source means it can be taken over by other people, modified accordingly, and re-released, but free of cost. Okay. This POSIX here, I have mentioned about one of the standards which has been released by this GNU, which is a standard adopted by GNU and OSS for maintaining open source and configuration of operability between different Linux OSs. Suppose the same Linux OS has been taken by me or many other users. If it has been modified accordingly, that modification should be in effect to POSIX standard, that your code can be actually ported to any other Linux flavor and it can be run without any issue. Means the same OS which you have developed or application you have developed should be open source and should be able to be interoperable between other Linux operating systems also. Means different Linux vendors can take your same source code and run it without any issue. Okay. So Sami, Harshita, any doubt? Sami, Harshita, any doubt? Okay. Can I continue? I'll continue. Okay. Now you got to understand the history of Linux OS. See, this history of Unix and this history of Linux and all, that's not so important, but this should be actually taught as part of a demo session, or what exactly how it came to it, how the Unix or Linux flavors into effect. I need to show you, so I have to tell. But this is not so important really. History of Unix or history. No one asks when is the history of what is the history of Unix or history of Linux. Now coming into our thing here, now we are here to learn, we are here to learn Red Hat Linux administration course for RHL 7. So here, so what is Red Hat Enterprise Linux? What is RHL 7 is stands for Red Hat Enterprise Linux version 7. Version 7. Okay. RH here is a Linux favored. What are the different flavors? There are many flavors of Unix because the Unix were actually submitted to Open Software Foundation. This Linux OS developed by Open Software Foundation and maintained by GU was adopted Linux. Okay. The Linux was the original Linux, which had been developed by the Linux Traverse and Open Software Foundation, was actually taken by different organizations and individuals, modified accordingly, and released as their own Linux flavor. Like Red Hat, Red Hat is a vendor of Red Hat Linux, CentOS, Ubuntu. Okay, here we are actually to learn Red Hat Linux administration course. So we will have some info. We will actually try to get some information about what is this Red Hat and what is this Linux and what are the different distributions available from this Red Hat vendor. Okay, we have Red Hat is RHEL is a Linux flavored server OS from vendor Red Hat. Red Hat is a company which has actually taken over that original Linux, modified and re-released in the name of Red Hat. Okay, which is called Red Hat Enterprise Linux. The server edition of this Red Hat vendor is called RHEL, which stands for Red Hat Enterprise Linux version 7. Current version is Red Hat Enterprise Linux 7, version 8. Okay. RHEL is a Linux flavored server OS from vendor Red Hat. For every Linux OS like Red Hat Linux, there are two distributions available or two subscriptions available. They are free edition and commercial edition. Okay, free edition and commercial. Red Hat releases its OS in the format of two types: free edition and commercial edition. Free edition, you as all you know, is a free. Commercial edition is a paid edition. Okay, so Red Hat releases its edition. First free edition was Red Hat 1, and that continued the name till Red Hat 9. Okay. Later, after Red Hat 9, the same free editions were released in the format of Fedora 1 to Fedora 13 free. Currently, I think 35, 32, 34 is the current Fedora. And the same commercial editions were released in the name of Red Hat Enterprise Linux 1 to current edition Red Hat Enterprise Linux 8. Okay, coming to this point, what is the difference between a free edition and a commercial or a paid edition? No. Okay, here you can see the difference between a free edition and a commercial edition. What is the difference? Is the first difference is first the code or utility developed by Red Hat team or Red Hat vendor is, suppose it is a small application. Suppose a small application is developed by a Red Hat company. First, the code or utility developed by Red Hat team or vendor is first released as part of free edition. Means the first or utility. Suppose you have created your own utility from Red Hat vendor. The Red Hat utility which has been developed newly is first released in Red Hat free editions. Means that code is actually released as part of free editions. Means any Fedora or any Red Hat release. Later, the code is corrected, made bug-free. Means the code is tested rigorously by different testing teams and other people are the tester. Then the code is made bug-free. Then the same code or utility is released to commercial editions. Okay, now you got it. First, the code is developed according to Red Hat vendor is first released in the free edition. The free edition is then given to different testers and vendors. These people actually test it, and then if any bugs are reported or any other issues, these are corrected. Then the same code is released into commercial editions. Okay. Second, difference between a free edition and a commercial edition is first the free subscription like free edition, there is no requirement of any there is no support from the vendor. Means if you encounter any kind of issue, you can't actually go to the vendors and ask them any support. You can't raise any ticket that this is the issue, I need some support. But if you are actually going for the commercial editions like Red Hat Enterprise Linux, you have paid for the subscription. So if you have any issue in the application or any utility or in the OS or any other thing, you can raise a ticket and the Red Hat people will be very much ready to help you with any of the things. Suppose there is suppose in commercial edition, you have actually deployed a Oracle database server. Okay, suppose there was some issue with this Oracle database working with the Red Hat release 8 or 7. Suppose you raise any ticket that some issue has been reported, then these Red Hat people will give you support in the form of patches or in the form of updates or in the form of recovery or any other thing. Okay, so commercial editions and free editions are two kind of distributions or subscriptions available for any Linux flavor. Whether it is from a Red Hat vendor or it is from Ubuntu, is it from CentOS, there are two free editions and commercial editions. Okay. Now we are coming to different Linux vendors and their distributors. What is a vendor? Vendor is a person who has taken up the original Linux operating system developed by Linux Travels and maintained by GNU Software or OSF, Open Software Foundation. They have taken up the thing, modified the same Linux OS, giving it a new name by the name of their own company like Red Hat. Different Linux vendors which have actually taken the original Linux operating system are mentioned here. One is Red Hat, as you can see here, Red Hat. Second is SUSE. Third is Ubuntu. Fourth is Fedora. You can see this is Mandrake, CentOS. These are the few mentioned distributions, but there are nearly hundreds and hundreds of different distributions which are actually very obscure, which we are not used mostly, but are available. Linux distributions are nearly 100, 200, 300 different Linux distributions are available. But main primary or the main distributions I have actually mentioned here: Red Hat, SUSE, Ubuntu, Fedora, Mandrake, and other distributions are like Kali Linux. Okay. Okay, now you got to understand what are the different vendors and distributions. Now coming to Harshita, do you have anything? Harshita, do you have any doubt? You can ask me. Are you able to understand? Okay. Now going forward. Now you got to understand what Unix is, what Linux is, and how the Unix and Linux came into existence, and what are the different flavors available in Unix, and what are the different flavors available in Linux. Now this is just different flavors available in Linux. Okay, and the different differences in what are the different distributions available in each Linux vendor. Like Red Hat Linux, we are having free Linux Red Hat and commercial Linux Red Hat. And what are the differences between a free Linux edition and a commercial Linux edition? Okay. Now we even got to understand different vendors or distributors of Linux operating system. Now coming to the main point, that is the main point or the most important point of this is what are the features of the Linux operating system. Till now we go to understand only what is the history of Unix, history of Linux, how it came to existence. Apart from that, what are the different flavors and the different distributions from different vendors. Now features of Linux operating system. We will check to see the features of the Linux. Linux is an open source and open system operating system. Means thus we can actually take the source code of the Linux operating system, which is freely available in the net, modify the functionality and create a new functionality, like adding new commands or adding new utilities, modify the device drivers, etc., and re-release in the name of your own company. And it is freeware. Freeware means second comes the freeware. Linux is a free operating system, means you don't need to actually pay anything in order to take the Linux operating system to use it. Okay, Linux is totally freeware. Source code is available for free. Linux can be operated for free without any issue. You can operate it for free. But Linux third feature of Linux operating system is multi-user and multitasking. Means the Linux operating system being a server operating system, multiple users can log in into the system at the same time. Multiple users can do multiple things. Means suppose your 10 people are logged into your company system, which is actually operating on Linux operating system. The same person can actually do a project, somebody can send a mail, somebody actually can do other backup tasks, etc., without affecting one another. And fourth is platform independent. What means a platform independent is Linux operating system can be installed on any kind of hardware architecture, whether it is Intel based hardware, if it is AMD or any other server hardware. The Linux operating system without any change or without any change of version can be installed on any hardware. Okay. Fifth feature of Linux is it is having programming facility. What is a programming facility? Programming facility here means shell scripting. For example, you want to actually automate a task. Suppose you want to automate a task. You are taking a backup of your system at night 12 o'clock. Okay, you don't need to be stay there in your company or your logged into your machine and take the backup. You can actually just automate the backup task in such a way by writing a shell script and keeping it and executing it at the correct time. It takes the automated backup automatically and then logs out also. So you don't need to be there. And in this kind of programming facility where you can automate the task like backup, you want to shut down the system, you want to take any other thing, then this can be done automatically by programming it in Unix or Linux. This is called shell scripting. This programmatical facility where you can automate the things is actually written in shell scripting. Okay. Next feature of Linux OS is online help. Means if you are having any problem with any of this utility, you don't know how to use the utility. So you can just search in the Google, or you can just man page command. I'll show you that man page example. Suppose, see here, I'm showing you, okay. Suppose I want to actually create a directory. So command to create a directory is mkdir and the name of the directory which I'm giving here is Rajesh. Okay. Suppose I have some issue. I want to actually have help in order to use that command, but I don't have internet or any other source. So I can actually go for the help directly using man page command in Linux, like man, which stands for manual, man mkdir, which gives you the correct usage of the command, different options available in the command, full option. As you can see here, mkdir, this is the online help available in Linux. Mkdir is a command that makes directory. Okay. The syntax is given in the format of synopsis like mkdir, options, and directory name. Okay. So in the description, it is very clearly given create directory or directory if it doesn't already exist. Okay. And apart from this, the help about options which have been given, mandatory arguments or options to here are mentioned. -p parent, -p verbose, -z, it is SE Linux security concept. And hyphen is the version of the command, help of the command. Hyphen version will output the version of the utility. This is the online help available freely for any command in Linux operating system. This way, if you are unsure of how to use the command, what are the different options available to the command, you can just take the help of man mkdir, which is the command. Another help can also be in the format of mkdir info command. See here, info command will be giving the same information in a different format. See, when I have given that creating directories are created with mkdir function. Directories are created with mkdir function. This is also a shell command mkdir. So this way you can actually find the help for the command. So now coming to the next thing, you got to understand what is online help. Okay, what is portability? Okay, whenever you are actually making, suppose you are writing, suppose you are actually deploying a web server, means your company requires a website. You wanted to deploy a web server which actually helps in your which is used by your company, website for your company. Okay, you actually installed a Apache web server. Suppose you have installed a Apache web server on your Linux operating system and deployed your company's website. Suppose there is some issue with this, you wanted to actually take the same Apache application configuration file. I'll show you. Suppose you are actually installing a Apache web server for your company. Your company name is some Durga Soft website. For this company, you have created an application in your Linux operating system. We have to actually, in order to deploy a website in Linux operating system, we have an application called Apache Web Server. Okay. Suppose you have some issue in, you are actually wanted to, this was Apache Web Server. This Apache Web Server was deployed in RHEL7 server. Okay. Suppose in future you are wanted to actually migrate this RHEL web server, which was deployed in your company in RHEL7 server operating system. You want to actually migrate it to some other CentOS 7 server. Okay, then do you actually need to recreate everything accordingly? Means because you are migrating this web server which has been written for Durgasoft website to CentOS 7. No, you just copy the configuration file settings and the data and just rerun the daemon, which is actually some HTTPD. Then the server which you have created for RHEL 7 server, RHEL 7 works exactly, and your server is actually website is deployed totally without any changes. Means you don't need to write any code extra, any changing code and extra things. It just works directly. Harshita ji, you are getting it what I'm saying? Harshita ji, are you getting it? Okay. So the same code can be taken and just deployed it to other server and just run it and it works. So you don't need to make any changes to the don't need to make any changes to the code or even the hardware architecture. If you change the hardware architecture also, don't need to make to any changes. It works perfectly. So next comes scalability. Scalability means same OS, the same Linux operating system can be deployed on a desktop computer as well as a supercomputer. So same scalability means same OS can be used on a deployed on a desktop computer on in your or laptop in your home, and the same OS can be totally deployed on a supercomputer without any changes. So it works perfectly fine. It can be highly scalable, means it works on a desktop computer like a client operating system, can be deployed on a server computer like a server operating system. Okay. Next comes reliability. What is reliability? The same Linux OS being used by many different companies and people for years together without a single second downtime. Means no issue, no any kind of error or any downtime or any kind of issues which actually may affect the company. So reliability is one of the main important thing of Linux operating system. Not even a single second downtime means not even a server is down, not even a single second. Okay. Next feature of Linux operating system is secure. Means Linux is a secure operating system. Means it is having security. What is meaning of security in the name in Unix operating system or Linux is Unix or Linux operating systems are giving us three levels of security. Okay. First is user level security. Second is file level permissions and data encryption. Third is IP tables and dynamic firewall. Okay. I will explain in detail about these three security levels. First, what is the first level of security is user level security. Okay. What you mean by a user level security is what I mean by user level security is a authenticated user can only log into the server. Means a person who is having authentication means username and password can only log into the server. Without a correct username and without a correct password, no user can log into the system. Okay. First thing, only authenticated users can log into the system. Means a user which is having a user login created by a root admin with username and password given to that person, then only he can log in. So no other person can log in without actually having the username and password credential. This is the first level of security. Second level of security is the file level permissions and data encryption. Suppose a user who has logged in has created a file. Suppose a user has created a file. I am showing you. Now I am logging myself as a user in order to show you the file level and user level security. Suppose I am already having a user created in the name of Rajesh. I am just creating a user. As you can see here, I am being a root user. I have created a new user by the name Rajesh. I have also assigned a password to this user Rajesh using password command. Now I am trying to log in as the Rajesh user because Rajesh user has been created just now. Rajesh user has been created just now using user add command like here. You can see here user add Rajesh, password Rajesh. Now I will log in into this user. Okay, see here. So I have logged into this user Rajesh. Okay, so here you can see I will actually try to create a file which I want to show file level permissions, which is the second level of security. File level permissions and data encryption. User level security I have just shown you how to create a user, how to create a password, and how to log in. Now I am going to show you file level permissions and data encryption. Okay, ls command will list all the data in the current directory. Currently I am logged into my my directory is Rajesh home. Rajesh is the directory where I am logged. These all things, password command, ls command, which you are not able you are seeing here, will come later in your class. For time being, just understand ls is the command to list the data in the directory, and pwd is a command which is called present working directory, which shows what is your current directory where you are logged in. My current logged in directory is Rajesh home. Okay. So now I wanted to create a file for you. So I'm creating a file using a cat command, which is the name of file1. Okay, and I am also entering data into that file. Cat command stands for concatenate. It is a file creation command. Okay, in Linux. Now I am creating a file by the name file1 using a cat command. See. Okay, control D. Now I saved the file. Now I wanted to show the different permissions created for that file. See, these are the different permissions created for the file. The first number, this is what I wanted to show for file level permissions. This is the data I'm showing for in order to make you understand what are the different file level permission and data encryption. So here you can see the first minus stands for this one stands for minus represent this is a normal file or a regular file which is called. Okay, later after that there are this RW and R minus minus. What does it mean is these are the file level permissions which have been assigned by Linux operating system to your file. The first three RW minus stands for user or the owner of the file created. RW, the owner of the file is Rajesh. The owner's group is also Rajesh. And this first RW minus are the permissions which have been given to Rajesh user. The second RW minus are the permissions which are assigned to group of the Rajesh, which is also Rajesh. Okay. Third per level of permission, there are three levels of permissions here. First is RW minus. This is the first set of permission. Second is RW minus. This is also a second level set of permission. Third is R minus minus, which stands for others. First is read write, means Rajesh or the owner of the file who has created this file one can read and write the file. The group of the Rajesh, which belongs to also Rajesh, also have read write permission over the file. The third is R minus minus, which stands for permissions for others, means not belonging to Rajesh or the group of Rajesh, can only read the file but can't write the file or execute the file. Okay, this is the main point here. File level permissions means whenever the file is created by the operating system, the operating system directly assigns permission to who can write, who can read, and who can execute the file. Okay, this is the user level securities. Who can having the authorized user ID password can log in. Whoever has created the file will have different set of permissions. The owner of the file who has created will have different set of permissions. The group to which the owner belongs have different set of permissions, and the others who belong to the file have different set of permissions. So Unix provides three levels of security. First is user level security, file level permissions, and third is IP tables and dynamic firewall. What is this IP tables and dynamic firewall? Is these are the Windows. You know, in Windows we have firewalls. You understand this. In Linux, these firewalls are called IP tables, and currently in RHEL 7 and RHEL 8, this IP tables is a service have been renamed as dynamic firewall. Okay, Harshita ji, do you have any doubt? You can ask me. Harshita ji, any doubts? Are you able to understand? Are you able to understand? Okay. Now coming to different questions. See, different questions which can be asked by a student or user. These are the different doubts they may get. What is the main difference? Because we are learning Unix and we are learning Linux. I have given the history of Unix. I have given the history of Linux. Then comes a point. What is the main difference between a Unix OS and a Linux OS? Okay. Second question may be why Linux is so popular? Okay. Third question may be is Linux a server OS or a client OS? Fourth question may be is GUI, is Linux a CUI, which is character user interface operating system, or GUI operating system? Okay. So now we will come to these four questions. Let us try to understand what is the main difference between a Linux OS and a Unix OS. Okay. Unix operating system, though developed in 1973 and released to university students and other research organizations in 1974, was the base operating system, and it is the father of all operating systems. All the operating base other operating systems which have been developed in 1980s or 90s or 2000s, were taken, the base was taken from the Unix operating system only. But main problem with is that when the Unix was actually developed in 1974, different commercial organizations like AT&T, Bell Labs, or HP or Sun Microsystems have though taken the original Unix kernel, modified it accordingly, and re-released in their name. But these were all commercial implementations. Commercial implementations means these are all operating systems. In order to use it, have to be paid. And these operating systems were optimized to work for specific hardware. Means Sun Solaris operating system developed by Sun Microsystems, as you can see here. Solaris operating system, Sun Microsystems, developed by Sun Microsystems Solaris operating system, though taken from the original Unix OS, modified, but was actually implemented in such a way it only works for specific hardware. So in order the Sun Solaris to work, you need to have Sun SPARC machines. IBM also did the same thing. IBM has taken the same Unix kernel, developed its own operating system in the name of AIX, Advanced AIX operating system. These were all commercial implementations of the Unix operating system. Means you need to pay for it. Though they have actually lot of code from original Unix, but these are all paid implementations. So this way, this has become a problem. So in 1990s, this Linux travelers who have developed this Linux operating system was the kernel who has been developed by Linux travelers was actually a person who was saying everything should be free, operating system should be free. So he submitted his Linux kernel code. He has submitted the Linux kernel code in the internet to different people who worked upon it, modified it, enhanced it, and created a Linux operating system which is totally free. And this Linux operating system was now maintained by GNU organization, and it actually takes care that the Linux operating system code is interoperable and all the applications in different Linux vendors can be used with each other. Okay, now you got to understand what is the main difference is Unix operating system, though developed in 1973, the base version was later taken over by different vendors and released commercial only. Linux operating system main difference is though Linux operating system is also based on the original Unix only, but it is totally freeware, open source, and it implemented all the Linux APIs freshly. Okay, so that way, Linux being open operating system, freeware and free editions available, so Linux has caused the revival of the Unix operating system. Means because of Linux, now the Unix has again revived. Okay, why Linux is so popular is the main funda is the Linux is open source freeware. So Linux is very powerful. It can be deployed on because here you can see it is very much customizable and enhanceable. It is highly portable and scalable and reliable and also secure. See, everything is free, and apart from that, it is portable means the same. It works on any hardware architecture. Scalable means it works on desktop client as well. It can be deployed as a desktop client operating system and also can be deployed on a supercomputer to work as a server. It is highly reliable and it has 3 levels of security. Windows operating system doesn't have 5 level permissions. It has only folder level permissions. Okay, and its firewall and other things are not so good as Linux firewall or dynamic firewall which is available. This is the main one of the main differences which is actually why Linux is so popular. It is free, open source, reliable, scalable, secure. Okay. Next question is Linux server a server operating system or client operating system? Okay. When it Linux, I already told you, is a very scalable. Means the same operating system can be used on a desktop computer as a client operating system like Windows. We are using Windows 8, Windows 10, Windows 7, and also can be configured to work the same software can be configured to work as a server. Means hundreds and thousands and thousands users can be connected to the same server at the same time and still no downtime. Okay. That is the main thing, is that Linux is a server operating system as well as a client, depending on how you configure it. If it is a client-side configuration, it works as a client OS. If it is a server operating system configuration, it's like a server OS. Okay. Next question is Linux a CUI based operating system or a GUI based operating system? Okay. I have to tell you one thing before this. The original Unix server OS is only server operating system. Thus, means the flavors of Unix operating system released here. See, vendors and flavors of Unix operating systems are all server operating systems only. These are not client-based operating systems. But Linux is a client-based operating system also and a server-side operating system. It can work on both ways. Okay, and original Unix operating system is CUI based only, but Linux is having CUI OS as well as GUI. It can work in two modes. It can work in character user interface, which is CUI operating system, means no graphical. GUI means graphical operating system, graphical user interface. It can work in both modes, CUI and GUI. This way, it can be installed on the server OS and used as a CI operating system, can be installed on a client system or a desktop and works as a GUI. So both ways it can work. But original Unix is only server operating system and only CUI, no GUI. Okay. Next question comes. Next question comes is, what is more powerful? CUI, which is what is more powerful? I'm writing it here. Harshita ji, a question to you. Harshita ji, question to you. What is more powerful? A CUI based or a GUI based? What is your answer? You can talk to me directly. Hello, Harshita ji. What is actually my question is, what is more powerful?
Both, sir.
Hello, madam, tell
Hello.
me. Tell me.
Yes, both, sir. It can be used in either CUI or GUI modes, both
Okay,
modes.
I'm asking you. What is my
Uh,
question is? It can be used as a CUI. I already told you it can be used as a GUI. And my question
yes,
is,
sir.
what is
Okay.
more powerful? Is CUI more powerful? What you understand what is CUI? Character user interface means command oriented
Ye-
interface. Or GUI?
Yes.
What is your answer?
Command user interface is more powerful, sir.
How can, okay,
I mean,
your question is, your answer is correct. How can you justify it? You tell me.
uh, because graphic uh, we can by using commands we
Okay,
can directly interact with the interface
okay. I will
rather
show
than
you. Okay. Now I'm going to show
um,
you how CUI is powerful than GUI. Okay. We'll see a direct
okay.
example. Okay. See here.
Okay.
So now I'm going to show you an example which actually tells you what is the actual power of the CUI. Okay. Command user interface or command line interface. See here. I have been logged into user. My username is who am I is a normal user. As you can see here. As you can see here, I am logged into as a normal user. My username is Rajesh. Okay. Here I am using the listing command, which actually shows that the files and directories are available. Okay. Now I am going to use CUI in order to create a directory structure. Okay. My directory structure is like this. Okay, now you can see here I have created a directory structure ls hyphen capital R tree structure I'm creating tree R1. As you can see here, I have created a directory structure in the format of nkdir. Using nkdir command, which is a make directory command, using that directory structure, I have created a complex directory structure. I have created a base directory R1. In that R1, I have created two directories R11 and R22. In that each directory, I have created three directories R11, R222, R333. Okay, as you can see here, ls-r, which is a listing command in recursive mode. My hyphen r means recursive mode. Option is recursive means directory inside directory inside directory, display in such a way. As you can see here, the output of this command is showing is this one. Output of this command is like this. This command is like this. In R1 directory, in the base R1 directory, I have created two directories with the name of R11, R2. And in each of R11 directory, I have created three directories in the name of R11, R22, R33. Okay. So this way, I'm actually able to create a complex directory structure in a single command. For the same thing, suppose if you want to actually create the same directory structure here in the desktop using graphical mode, I'm just showing you new folder is the command which with a graphical mkdir command. If I create like this raj1, I can create only one directory at a time. Okay, I created a raj1 directory. So raj1 directory is present here. In order to create subdirectories, I need to first go into the raj1 directory. One minute, it is taking time. Okay, now see, I have created raj1 directory in desktop. So in order to create more directories, I need to actually go into the directory. Again, create directory command, raj2 directory, create, then open the same directory, create another directory, raj3. So this way, GUI is helping us to do the work easily, but it is not as powerful as CUI because the same directory structure can be created because the bigger directory structure or other can be done with a single command, which is not possible to do in GUI mode. Suppose another example I am giving you. Suppose, madam, you are having 100 files or 1000 files in a current directory. See, some 100 files I have actually created in this directory. Suppose I am just showing you for 100 files I am just creating using touch command. You can see here touch F1 1 to 100. This command is actually the command which creates an empty file. I am creating touch using touch command. I am creating a file name F1 to F100 in the current directory Raj1. As you can see, the files were created. I am displaying it using L2 ls command. You can see we have created it with a single touch command and with 100 files, empty files from here to here. Okay. Suppose I am giving you a task. Means in this 100 files, I'm having few files, means 10 files or 20 files. I wanted to copy these files to another directory. If you are doing it GUI based, you have to copy one by one file. But if you want to copy the same files to a different directory or move the files depending on their requirement, I can actually move it all the files in a single command. Move f star, move all the files which are starting with a to raj2 directory. As you can see, all the files are moved. There is no command. See, you can see with a single touch command, move command, I have for moved all the files which are starting with f star in my current directory to the directory raj2. If you want to do the same thing in graphical mode, first you need to open in graphical mode, select each of the 100 files one by one, right click it, move it or copy it to raster. So this way, CUI is very powerful than GUI. Though GUI give us the help us in doing the same thing without any helper, but comparatively GUI, CUI is more powerful. Now you got it, Harshita ji? Harshita ji?
Yes, sir.
Now you got it?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. Now we got to understand different things about, madam, features of Linux operating system. You got to understand now.
Yes,
Open
yes,
source,
sir.
freeware,
Yes,
multi-user, multitasking, platform independent, programming facility means shell scripting, online help means any help can be accessed using man pages or info command, portable, scalable, reliable, and secure. These are the main features of Linux operating system. Because of these features only, because it is open source, it is so user friendly, it is having CUI, GUI, can be installed on a desktop computer, can be also installed on a server computer without any changes. So this is why Linux is so popular. You got to understand.
yes, sir.
Now you got to understand what the main difference between Unix and Linux operating
Ye-
system. Because
Yes, sir.
Unix came, but Unix was implemented by different organizations in the name of their own companies and with their own hardware. Unix cannot be actually purchased and installed on a normal hardware. So if you want to install a Sun Solaris machine, Sun Spark machines should be taken. So this way it is becoming very expensive. And one more thing, suppose you started a company of 10 people. You started your own company of 10 people. Okay. So if you started a company of 10 people, you need to actually deploy your website. Suppose your company website, something you want to deploy. So if in order to deploy a website, if you go to Sun Solaris or any other HP Unix or AIX or any other IBM software OS, you have to pay lakhs and lakhs rupees for the to purchase the operating system. You have to purchase lakhs and lakhs using maybe crores for purchasing the hardware. You have to deploy it. How expensive it is. But Linux can be purchased and deployed freely. Then Linux is so popular. Why? Got to understand.
Yes, sir.
Now you got to understand the main difference between Linux and OS. Why is Linux so popular? Huh? Is Linux a server OS or client OS? You got to understand.
Yes, sir.
Is Linux a CUI GUI based? You got to understand.
Yes, sir. I
So
understand.
now you got to understand why we are going for Linux, why everybody is migrating to Linux. Suppose you have developed a website in Linux operating system only one flavor. You are just porting the code to another. You would migrate it to any other operating system from the same Linux flavor. You just copy the source content and the configuration files to your new server, run it, and it runs perfectly, portable. That doesn't mean that you are migrating from Red Hat Linux to CentOS. Suppose your company has migrated from Red Hat Linux before operating system to a CentOS server operating system, Linux operating system. You in Red Hat Linux, you had your company's website. Just copy the content of your company website and configuration files to the CentOS server, rerun it, and it works perfectly fine. Can this be done in Unix operating system flavors of these kind of things? This one, you
Okay.
can do it in here. You have migrated from Sun to Bell, AT&T Bell Labs or IBM AX. Can you do the same portability there, madam?
Yes, sir.
You can't do, no?
Yes, sir. We can't do.
We can't do, but in Linux we can do. Because
Mm.
why we can able to do means here it is. See, POSIX is the standard adopted by GNU and OSF. Open Software Foundation for maintaining open source application configuration interoperability between different Linux vendors OS. Got it?
Yes.
So this is how it is. Now Linux has come into existence. What are the different features? What are the different flavors? What are the different distributions? Free editions, commercial editions.
Mm.
Free editions are free. Commercial you have to pay. Madam, got it
Okay.
now? You
Yes, sir.
understood what is our topic today demo. What is your topic is focus is on history and of Unix and
Okay.
Linux. Okay, we got to
Okay, sir.
understand how Multics came, how Unix was developed, and how different flavors came, and how Linux has evolved. and how Linux has become so powerful, and what are the different features of Linux application. Madam, how is the class? How do you feel?
Yes, sir, I understand everything clearly
Ah.
from the basics. Actually, I need from the basics. You have explained very clearly.
So now I'm creating from Unix. I started. I came to Linux, and how Linux is better than Unix. How this has started. How the timelines, how the security is applied in Linux. Different time.
Yes,
You know what is the difference between the Windows OS and the Linux OS is Windows has user level security, but file level permissions are not available in Linux. Unix, Windows. Madam, you got to understand now what is the difference between
yes.
Linux and Unix. Hello.
Hello, sir, am I audible?
Now you got to understand which is more powerful, CUI or GUI.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay.
See you.
Okay. Now I have to end. Now it is 9:30, madam. I have to end the class. Tomorrow will be the second demo session where you are going to learn about what are the Unix and Linux operating system components, means kernel, shell, utility command, how they are actually set up in order to work. Okay.
Okay, sir, I have a small doubt.
Ask me.
Hello, am I audible,
Tell me.
sir?
Ask me.
Sir,
You are audible, madam.
actually, administration you have said, right? Unix
Yes,
and
Linux
Linux
administration course.
administration. Then
Okay.
what about transcripting and shell scripting, sir? That comes under administration or that is different?
No. I will tell you. I'll show you the course content, then you will get to understand. Wait, I'll just show you.
Okay.
I'm going to show you. This is my Linux thing with. This is the course content which I'm going to train in Linux administration. Thing is that you can actually go for shell scripting also, but that shell scripting, though not mentioned as part of this course content. See, the Linux administration has started basics. You know, now you are in the overview of Linux only here. Okay,
Yes, yes,
you can see
overview.
here
Okay.
overview of Linux only. When we come to Linux administration standalone, after that we are going to actually go for Linux network administration topic. After all of these
Okay.
things, this is not part of shell scripting, not part of the current course content. I am going to help you in shell scripting basics also. In this class, you will have the basics of shell scripting, but not
Okay.
part of the course, because this is the course content which has been given by Durga Soft. I am being a faculty from Durga Soft. I am supposed to teach this only. But because you are asking, because this, I will actually the basics of the shell scripting operating system basics, how to automate the script, how to write different script, what are the different types of shells are available. I will give you an idea. That is more than
Okay.
helpful for you to work.
Okay. Transcripting, sir?
What is transcripting? I don't understand what you're saying. Transcripting.
Sir, actually, uh,
Uh,
shell scripting and transcripting both are included in Linux. One of my managers suggested to me. That's why
Actually,
I
shell
need
script.
to know.
No. Shell
Uh,
scripting will come in
actually,
this
I
because
don't
I will give you
that's
the
why
basics.
I'm. Okay.
Because shell scripting is for automation. This is like simple C programming. Have you seen C programming? Any type C
Yes,
programming? So the
yes.
same for loop, same thing, same printf command, same echo. Not echo command is not in C, but here it comes. How to actually automate a script? How to take the input from one command chaining, means how to take the input of one command as put it as output to other command. These are coming in how to actually. I will explain you what is a shell and how to actually shell script. Different shells and what are the different features and properties, and how to actually do the shell scripting. I'll give you the
Okay.
basics of that, because you are asking, because not part of the course, but you are asking, I will give you that. And that is more than enough for you to understand any of the script. If you have seen the shell script of your company, you are finding some different things, but you don't know what is that. All the topic, what are the different points, what are the different components of shell scripting, I'll give you.
Okay. Okay, sir.
Anything else, Harshita ji? How is the
Uh,
class? You got to understand what is the meaning,
yes, I
whatever I am
understand
telling.
everything very clearly.
Uh,
I understand everything very clearly, sir, and I like the class. I would like to
Okay,
join
and
that.
one more thing, Harshita ji.
Mm.
this content which I showed you here, I am prepared it myself from different books, internet and all. You don't need to write anything. If you are not writing also, I am going to share you this content. You just have to go through it because it has been written very clearly from one to last,
Yes.
explaining every point. See, you can see here in Unix version, base version, how it has evolved. I have written it like a small story. I am going to forward you this content, and you can just go through it. You'll get everything. And apart from that, the videos will also be shared for you. So both ways it will be helpful.
Okay.
And this is the first demo session we are starting with this. But when we start to actually go into the original administration or shell scripting and everything, if you will be enjoying a lot. Tomorrow we are going to tomorrow when we are going to come, we will start with the Unix and Linux operating system internals, means how shell, what is kernel, utility program, how they are arranged, different tasks of kernel, different tasks of shell, how the operating system itself is installed. These all will be coming tomorrow. That is also a demonstration. You can come tomorrow.
Can we install in our own laptops, sir?
Yes, you can install. I will tell you how to download, from where to download, how to deploy, everything will be shared, and you can see that, and you can install on your laptop or a desktop also.
Okay.
I will tell you how to download, where to download the operating system. If you don't have the operating system, how to deploy it, and how I will also share you how to actually deploy each and everything. Tomorrow you will get to know that.
Okay.
And you can practice. After deploying, you can practice.
Okay. Okay, sir.
Okay, tomorrow
Okay,
is the
sir.
second demo session. Tomorrow 8 o'clock.
Okay, sir.
Good night, ma'am. I have
Thank you
to
so
end the
much,
class.
sir. Thank you.
Thank you.